Hello and welcome to the long-awaited return of PauseCast. It is the first month, January. It is the 24th day, and it is the year 2019. Somehow, someway, we escaped from the time vortex that was 2018. Joined as always by Mark Hanna. Mark?
Hey.
Hey. My name is Jessica. I use she, her pronouns.
I use he, him.
And welcome to PauseCast, a bi-weekly podcast about video games from a queer perspective, and sometimes just normal video game criticism. We have a lot of just normal video game criticism, I would say, this month. I see the words toy dampener in the notes.
It's a thing.
So we're in for a normal one.
Totally normal.
Totally normal.
As always.
Normal video game criticism this week. What are we going to talk about this week, though, is the real question. I'm going to go to you, Mark. What have you been playing over the past couple of weeks here?
Well, I'm thinking of it a little more than the past couple of weeks, because I also played some stuff over the summer break that I probably wouldn't normally. So, first off, I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
I also picked up an old game that I played as a kid as a sort of Christmas present for myself, which is Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Which was a favorite of mine on the Nintendo 64.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't think I knew that.
I owned that on real hardware at one point.
It's a damn good game.
It's a
masterpiece, honestly. I then, after having played through that again, I bought Redout because it seemed kind of similar, and I'll get into that. And I've also played some MTG Arena.
MTG is...
MTG stands for Magic the Gathering. It's a trading card game. And this is a digital version of it. Of one of the formats of it.
You sound like a real nerd.
Am I not?
No, you are absolutely a real nerd.
I thought so. Get me confused for a minute. So, am I the right person? Am I impostering someone?
You haven't, as far as I know, body snatched someone to, or been body snatched.
Okay.
I've been playing stuff that I would describe as both pixel art and ultra-violence in equal measure, with a little bit of motorsport thrown in there for good measure. So I have been playing Undertale. I have been playing Dead Cells, as well as Resident Evil 7 and the Resident Evil 2 remake and GT Sport. So with that out of the way, with this wide array of games that we have in front of us, where the hell do we want to start with this?
How about Undertale? You could tell me about that.
Undertale? Okay, yeah. Okay. Can you describe to me why I need to know why you're pronouncing it in this way.
Because that's how it's spelled.
All right. Yep, fair enough. Undertale, it is one word, so I guess that must be accurate.
I keep in mind that I've played, I think, around 3/4 of this game, and I've forever meant to go back, but I haven't finished it.
Okay.
But I'm really keen to hear how you found it. And for anyone who is somehow legitimately confused by my mispronunciation, it's Undertale.
It is Undertale. We're going to be talking about Undertale first. I'm not going to spoil anything, because I don't have much new to say about Undertale.
Okay.
I think what I would want to say about that game has already been said to death by countless people. And in fact, I will recommend... there is a video essay. It's about 20 minutes by H. Bomber Guy, and it is called Perverted Sentimentality, and it is an analysis of Undertale, and I would strongly recommend that, because I think I agree with most of the positions that are positioned there. It's a really good game. It made me cry. I love it. I had a really good time.
On that video you mentioned, how is that on the spoiler front if I were to look it up or not?
It spoils everything.
Okay,
so
I thought it might. So
yeah, you should finish Undertale and then watch that.
Fair enough.
Do you remember where you made it in Undertale?
The spider boss.
Oh, okay. Did you happen to do you happen to be able to skip that fight?
I don't remember. It was like 2 years ago.
That's fair. Um, if you possess certain items, you are able to skip that fight. I
Oh,
know because
okay.
I was able to skip it.
Right. I remember something about a muffin, I think. I don't know. It was a long time ago and I'm confused.
Fair. Um, I won't spoil it.
Okay.
There is a way you can skip the fight. I won't spoil how
Okay.
because it's just kind of a weird thing, and if you don't know about it, it's
Undertale,
not.
weird. Are you sure?
Uh, it's a little bit esoteric in places, I would say. Shout out to the crime meter in the papyrus character scene, though. Unforgettable. Ooh. Speaking of H Bomber Guy, though, I do also want to bring up something that happened over the weekend.
Yeah, it's a name that's become familiar just recently to me.
I think anybody on the left on Twitter has heard the name H Bomber Guy at least a few times now. Um, so for those who aren't aware, he is a leftist kind of YouTube critic and video essayist, and he's well known for a series of videos called Measured Responses, in which he takes something ridiculous like flat Earth or various conspiracy theories and debunks them in humorous ways.
Okay.
He doesn't go into a lot of depth on a lot of these issues, and there are other YouTubers that cover those sorts of issues in depth. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more of a comedic bent,
Mm-hmm.
his content is very much in that vein. Um, it was a few months ago that he published a video which was called "Speedrunning is Awesome, and Here's Why," uh, in which he talked about Donkey Kong 64 and how he had never beaten the game, despite having played it for about 60 hours as a child, where now, like, the 101% speedrun of that game is 6 hours.
Right. Did you say 101%?
I did, because Rare are conscious of how many fucking collectibles they put in their games, and they're like, aha, we put too many. Do you get it?
Uh,
Um, Donkey
okay.
Kong 64 actually holds the world record for the most collectibles in any game with over 1,900.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And so most of those, to be fair, are optional. There is a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of them which you do not need to collect to actually, count towards all of the percentage. But there's a lot that do. There's a lot that count. So, H Bomber Guide had never beaten the game, and he was like, "It's defeated me." In the video about speedrunning, he
Mm-hmm.
also said that he was going to do a charity stream, in which he would play the game and he would fall asleep in his chair or die, and he was going to finish the game in one sitting. Fast forward a couple of months, and a week prior to the stream, he released a video saying, "Hey, I'm actually going to do this, and we're going to be supporting Mermaids, which is a charity in the UK for trans youth and their parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's an organization focused on like giving information and support for trans kids, and it's like a vital resource. It saved lives. Recently, comedy writer Graham Linehan, who you may know from the IT crowd, um, he's a bit of a dick on Twitter, to put it mildly, and he does not like trans people. And when the UK's National Lottery awarded $500,000 in funding over the course of several years to mermaids, he started a campaign with Mumsnet, who are a harassment forum,
Yeah, I've heard of them.
um, to get that funding redacted. It's currently under review. So, it's gotten to the point where the National Lottery in the UK have been like, okay, no, we have to review these funds now.
Just because they received a large number of complaints.
Exactly, yeah. There was
one
email address in particular, I think a woman named Dawn, if I'm remembering the story correctly, who received hundreds of thousands of emails to her inbox specifically, complaining about this funding allocation.
What a mess.
So, enter Harris Bomber Guy, who's like, I'm going to do a charity stream and raise some money, and he expected to raise about $500. He had done a similar campaign and raised about that amount. So he was like, "Oh, I'm going to do another charity stream. I'll probably raise $500, but it's something to go towards mermaids."
Mm-hmm.
By the time that he had finished apologizing for starting the stream late, he had already raised $500.
That's a pretty solid start.
In this spite stream of 101% Donkey Kong 64 completion, specifically to irritate Graham Linehan and to fund mermaids a little bit more. $500 in the first few minutes. And it kept going. And it kept going. And eventually, guests started to appear. It was originally just him by himself, and then he had some friends in the Discord call join in, and they were part of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And then those people invited some people. And then those people invited some people. And eventually, down the line, sitting U.S. politician Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez shows up in the stream. As well as Chelsea Manning, John Romero, the designer of Doom and Quake, Grant Kirkhope, the composer of Donkey Kong 64, and Donkey Kong's original voice actor, whose voice is still used as Donkey Kong, all coming out to this stream. It evolved into this event from what was, just... I'm just some idiot playing Donkey Kong to first everyone on the YouTube left, they're popular YouTubers like Sean, Foldable Human, otherwise known as Foldable Ideas, Philosophy Tube, Do Not Eat, all of these very popular on the YouTube left. Lots of great critique. I highly recommend checking out those channels, by the way. And it kept spiraling, and more people were donating to mermaids and coming out, and all of those celebrities that I mentioned, John Romero, excuse me, gonna try that again.
Mm-hmm.
John Romero, Grant Kirkhope, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, all of these great people, and they were all coming out in support of trans rights, and they were all saying on the stream for everyone to hear that they believe in trans rights. Which also led to Grant Kirkhope, again the original VA for Donkey Kong, saying trans rights okay in his best Donkey Kong voice.
His best Donkey Kong voice is canonically Donkey Kong's voice.
With some, he explained the process of actually making it happen. You have to do some adjustments. But people have done that work for him now from that voice clip. So now we have clips of Donkey Kong saying trans rights okay. It's very good.
That's very good.
In total, the stream raised over $340,000. Now, that is more than 2 years of the funding that Mermaids was going to get.
Shit.
Yeah. The CEO of Mermaids was present on that stream a couple of times, and she got to talk about the mission statement of Mermaids and all of the work that they were doing. And she got to talk about the funding that they had raised at the time, which the initial appearance she made was about $50,000. And at that time, she was already saying, just because of the funding that we're seeing here, we're writing job descriptions. We're hiring now in a time where, these past couple of weeks have been uncertain and terrible. We're writing job descriptions. We're getting ready to move forward. And she came in several times throughout the stream at various points. And again, at the end, to close it all out with over $300,000 raised. It was amazing to be a part of. I was part of the team moderating the Twitch chat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I got my name read at one point early in the stream.
Oh, cool.
There was about 4,000 people watching at that time. And by the time the stream reached the end, there was a consistent audience of almost 25,000 people tuned in.
Wow. How was the moderation like? Was there a lot of chat going on?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Chat was put into slow mode to the point where you could send one message, I believe, every 3 to 4 minutes was how slow things got.
So just there was a maximum of 25,000 messages in 3 minutes.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep. Nothing. There was a team of at least 10 people there at all times. Mm-hmm. It was really, really great. Moderators get exceptions to the slow mode, so we could, for example, spam the donate link or spam the like, hey, just you can also subscribe with this other method, and everything's still going to mermaids. Mm-hmm. Which I don't even know the final total after all of that's been calculated in, because that's probably another 100,000 or more. There was a crazy amount of money going into this. It was a huge event. I'm really happy that it happened. It was a cool thing to be a part of, and it was a cool thing that really united a lot of different people, and a lot of different queer people especially. And it's given a lot of people a lot of hope and energy.
Yeah, it sounds like it was really fantastic. I only found out about it in the aftermath, and I've only seen, little bits of people talking about it. So I didn't know half of what you've been saying just now, but I'm glad it happened. I mean, if the shit that provoked it had to happen, it's good that the response was like this.
Yeah. There was a joke hashtag started at one point, which was
thanks, Graham.
Thanks, Graham, for giving us a shit ton of free PR for this really, really good cause. Because you just had to open your mouth and be wrong and angry and transparently so. So yeah. I'm real happy. I'm glad that happened.
Definitely.
Now that we're off of that topic, which was spun off of fucking Undertale, holy shit, I shouldn't have done that.
I'm glad you did, because I didn't know half of that.
Oh, I've ruined the flow of the show is my problem.
With it.
Do you want with this extremely long thing when I was like, let's talk about all our big things towards the end. Tell me about Magic the Gathering, please.
Okay, so I played the physical card game when I would have been 15.
I thought you still were.
And I got back into it.
Okay, yep, there it is.
Just over a year ago. After my brother and my cousin had got into it. And over the summer, I didn't have the opportunity to play with them. I was kind of wanted to, and I knew that this MTG arena existed and was free to play. So I tried it out. And it turns out it's actually quite a handy way if you want to play what's called standard. It's just one of the formats of play of Magic the Gathering. But also you don't want it to be a really expensive hobby, because it can be a really expensive hobby if you're not careful. This is a way to play it for free and easily get heaps of cards to play with and play as often as you like really quickly. It's been interesting to see how they translated it all into a digital environment. There are some cards which are much more of a pain online because of how they can slow down the game a lot, whereas in person you can be, and this will clearly happen 12 times instead of having to resolve it 12 individual times online. But for the most part, I've been impressed with how they did it. It's been fun. They've got some of the flashier cards will have like an animation that pops out when you play them and stuff. It's been cool. They've got, the standard like daily rewards and stuff if you play. A new set just came out last weekend, so there's been some new cards to play with, and I've been able to get a hang of them here, including ones that I don't have physically, which is quite nice. But yeah, I haven't actually played any like digital versions of trading card games, including the digital only ones like Hearthstone and stuff before. I'd only played pretty much just physical Magic the Gathering. So playing this free-to-play one and knowing that I can get heaps of cards without spending money and then play was better than I expected. I was expecting being free-to-play that it was going to like spam you with pay real money kind of stuff, but it doesn't. It's trivial to ignore any aspect of that. Like, it exists, obviously. But it's been super easy to ignore, and I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage for ignoring it. So yeah, if anyone's interested in it and doesn't want to spend money on it, which is totally fair enough, this is something worth checking out, I reckon.
How complex is Magic the Gathering to get into? Because, like,
Yeah.
I have played a little bit of Hearthstone,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason that Hearthstone appealed to me was because it was very simple. Cards generally do one thing when you put them down, and there are systems in that game and visuals that make it very easy to understand. So if I was a complete noob to Magic the Gathering, am I good?
For the most part, there's a pretty decent tutorial. It doesn't go over all the ins and outs of the rules, and there are some stuff that might be confusing. For example, if there's a card that says target permanent, you might not know all the things that means. But also, the game will highlight the things that you can pick when you're picking targets for something. So even stuff that doesn't explain fully right off the bat, the slightly more complicated stuff, you can figure out pretty quickly. It's really hard to evaluate the tutorial when you've known how to play for like 15 years. So I haven't been able to see it with a new player's eyes. But I feel like it did a good job. I know that this is by far not the most complicated format that can be played. It's with a limited set of cards that changes every year. So you as the set gets old enough, they get phased out of this format. So you don't need to worry about there being 10,000 cards with all sorts of old complex rules or anything.
Gotcha.
As they make new cards, they tend to now consider how they will play digitally. I know that they recently changed one card because it was whenever you gain life, you may do something. And it turned out that was a real pain in digital because it meant every time that happened, you had to click yes or no on if you want to do it. So they've changed that now so it just happens because it was beneficial anyway. So I know that they're now considering the effects of cards on digital. So I think as it goes on for longer, it'll get more streamlined, both as they make updates to that and as they get better at designing cards that work well in both online and tabletop formats. And hopefully that goes for keeping the complexity from getting too high online as well. But the cards can have reasonably complex interactions. I've been able to follow it because I play one of the more complex formats and I'm quite familiar with the rules, so it's hard to say if that would be difficult to follow if you weren't already familiar with it. I hope it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be super hard to follow, but I can't say for sure.
Gotcha.
That's quite good. The rate of reward, I guess, is pretty much if you do like a daily challenge and win a couple of games, then in one day that is enough for you to open a booster of, I think, like 8 cards, which is how you get the new cards online the main way. So you've got a near constant supply of them. If you win 5, 10 or 15 games over a week, you get one as well. So you're often getting new cards. When you start over a few days, they give you new decks which come with a bunch of new cards, so you get slowly introduced to what the different colors are like. There are 5 colors that will have their own focuses. So it leads you in over a week or so after the tutorial. Yeah. I think it does a good job of onboarding people. It's just hard to say if it really does because I'm familiar with it, or yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah, that's fair though. Shall I talk about Dead Cells?
Yeah, I'm keen to hear your take on it because I played some last year and it kind of forced me to change a couple of gaming habits. So I'm really interested to hear how you found it.
I need to know more about these habits that it forced you to change actually first, because I'm now way more interested in that.
I talked about it on the show. It's about how I have this sort of compulsion is too strong a word, but I'm not sure what else to use instead. Compulsion to explore every nook and cranny of a level before moving on. But if you do that in Dead Cells, you miss out on the treasure locked behind the time-locked doors. So it really encourages you to don't look back, make a decision to go this way, and don't look back until you hit a dead end, and just try to find the way out of the level and keep going. And you leave huge areas unexplored. And obviously, it's generating the level, so it's not a huge, like, you're missing stuff. But it made me change that because I wanted to see what was behind these doors, and I was always like 30 seconds too late or something.
Yeah. Well, I think that became a lot easier in the 1.0 and the subsequent 1.1 releases.
Oh, okay.
Because those timed doors are now in between every level.
Okay, they used to be in the levels, didn't they?
Yeah, I believe they used to be in the levels. Now they're in between them.
Okay.
And they also have a combat challenge next to them. So, in addition to that timed one, which on the first level, for example, is 2 minutes, there's also a combat challenge for if you can get 30 kills in the previous level without getting hit, then you can open another door.
Oh, that's interesting. So you can focus on one or the other if you don't think you can hit both.
Yeah, if you wanted to explore every nook and cranny and you're like really good at the combat, you are now rewarded for that just as much as you are rewarded for speed.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I think that is a positive change based on what I've heard of Dead Cells' original form. And the only version I've played, which is the version 1.1.
Okay, I played it at 1.0, but I played more, I think, before that.
Okay, yeah. I like that game. I like that game a whole fucking lot.
Isn't the animation really good?
Oh, it's spectacular. It's so good. It's really well designed too. It has this great aesthetic. Great use of color, great aesthetics. It's very darkly comic, which I have an appreciation for.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of gallows humor. Sometimes literally.
I don't think I've seen any literal gallows in the game, but I've definitely seen gallows humor.
Are.
I believe you.
Lore items as well, easier to find now.
Yeah, I don't think they existed when I first played, but I do remember seeing some lore stuff at 1.0.
Yeah, now there's lore stuff, and it's all marked with like blue candles.
Yeah,
so you can actually see, and there's an audio cue to indicate, oh, hey, here's the lore items, and it pauses the in-game timer, so you can go just take a look at them at your leisure. Treasure rooms and shops also pause the in-game timer. So it's good to recoup in that sense. Dead Cells is really well balanced in that sense too. It offers enough respite and enough interesting ways to get around the level from the teleporters and just like all that encourages exploration to just some of the mobility stuff you can get. Some of the amulets, for example, giving you like 2 extra jumps. That stuff's real cool. I've unlocked 3 of the ability runes so far.
I can't remember how many I found.
So I've got the vine one.
Yep.
I have the one that lets you use those obelisks to warp.
The lightning statue things?
Yeah, the lightning statues. Yep. And then I have one that lets you smash through certain floors.
Okay, I haven't got that one, but I've seen the places where you would need to use it.
So have you gone to the ossuary at all?
Yes, but I haven't gotten through it.
Okay, so the ossuary is where that rune is. So if you wanted to put some focus into like getting into that section, that'll be how you unlock it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I think I don't know what the next one's gonna do, honestly. I'm really curious to see what other ability things I can get, or even if there is any, because I've beaten the game once.
Oh, you have? I've only beaten the first boss.
I have cleared the game now. I did it on stream. I did it on a
Nice.
stream that I named "This is the Run" as a joke. I was like, "Oh, there's no way I'm gonna beat this on stream. I'm just gonna name it "This is the Run." And
Good
then
foreshadowing, though.
there was a point while I was doing that. I was like, "Holy shit, this is actually the run. This is it." And it was. It was actually the run.
Nice.
The thing I said as a joke was true. How that went down was really interesting too. I took a cursed chest on Promenade.
So those are the ones that kill you really quickly unless you kill some enemies first, right?
One hit.
That's right.
And you are dead.
You have to kill like 10 enemies otherwise?
Yes, correct. So I was like, I wasn't feeling great about how that run started. I think I started out with like an oiled sword and something else that just some other weapon that I didn't really care for. And so I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just go for this. I'll end this run one way or another.
Okay.
And ended up getting a really, really strong broadsword, which is a weapon I normally hate.
Because they're quite slow, eh?
Yeah, they're very, very slow. And I think it was paired with... I forget exactly what it was paired with. I'd have to go check the footage. I'm going to check the footage.
Okay.
I have it on file. Give me a second.
Sure.
I want to know what this was paired with. So it was a broadsword, and it was paired up with throwing knives. And then later in that level, I found a ++ level double cross-momatic and a reasonably powerful, I believe, fire grenade.
I never really got the hang of the grenades in that game.
I did, and I really enjoyed them. And then right at the end, I ended up getting a cleaver. So that was what I came into the final boss with.
How do cleavers work? I don't think I've seen them.
They're like a bunch of saws that deploy on the ground.
Oh, I also never got the hang of them.
Okay. So yeah, I got a chance to use all of that, and wow, that was
effective.
It was really, really effective in the end.
Nice.
I managed to beat the first boss, like the final boss, first try. It was the first time I've ever seen it. And I just kind of melted it.
Well done.
Yeah, I was real happy. Especially since I was like at the beginning, like, oh, this is a bullshit run. There's no way this goes anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The credits do something weird that I'm not going to spoil. Because I think that they're worth watching just because they're fucking weird.
Fair enough.
Once you notice what's going on, you'll be like, hold on, wait a fucking second. So I'm not going to say anything more. Credits are fucking weird.
Okay.
I love that game. I'm very excited to play through it with the stem cells unlocked.
What's the stem cells?
So once you kill the final boss for the first time, you get your first stem cell, which increases the difficulty of the entire game, optionally. Gives you better loot in correspondence and adjusts a few other bits and bobs.
So it unlocks a more difficult, a higher difficulty option.
Yep, okay. with better loot and higher chance to drop blueprints and a whole bunch of stuff. So like there are benefits immediately to begin running on the harder difficulty, and you get into that same sort of flow of like beating the game or trying to. On this new harder difficulty, because now you're seasoned, right? Now you've got the experience. It's like, okay, so now we're going to bring this up a little bit more. Can you still do it? And cool. I like that.
Nice.
So I know that you can get up to 5 of those.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that's how intense the game can get. So I'm looking forward to going on more runs on stream to try and do that. I've enjoyed Dead Cells a good deal. I highly
Nice.
recommend it, especially in its current form. It's really good.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it when I played it back at 1.0.
I think you should go back. I think there's some cool new stuff that is worth your time.
I think I got really excited after I finally beat the first boss, and I think my run is still at that point, possibly.
The concierge is he's a heck of a force.
Is that the one on the bridge?
Yeah, on Black Bridge. I think I managed to beat him relatively easily the first time I saw him because I had a couple of really good trap loadouts.
Yeah, I wasn't using traps until the last time, and I also had a shield this last time, which I'd never really used before, and those both helped a lot.
Yeah, I think the first time I ran into the concierge, I happened to have a sinew slicer and a double crossbow-matic, so I was just doing a lot of passive damage very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Highly beneficial to my run, I would say.
Yeah.
I did immediately die in the next level, so I distinctly remember that happening. Yeah, total of 70 runs across 2 files, and I've beaten it for the first time.
Oh wow, 70. That's
It's on the stream file because I have a file that I kept separate for the stream, and I have a file that I used for personal play because I was like, I don't want to progress this. I don't want to progress this game because I've been streaming it.
okay.
I just want to play it some more, so I'll just like have separate files.
Yeah.
It's ended up working out quite well for me.
Nice.
So 70 runs in total, and I've cleared it for the first time.
Cool. Well done.
I'm looking forward to doing more. Good fucking game. Tell me about Star Wars Episode 1 Racer and Redout.
All right. So back in ancient history, when the fourth Star Wars movie came out, episode 1, The Phantom
prequels,
Menace,
the best series of Star Wars movies came out.
they get way too much hate. They're the only ones with good sword fights.
Holy shit, the sword fights are really good in the prequels, huh?
Yeah, like they're good.
There's like
shut up.
The thing about the prequels too is there's also really good like cinematography, and like the production quality still holds up by modern standards. Like I genuinely enjoy a lot of aspects of those movies, including the political intrigue of Episode 1. I'm getting off topic. Please continue.
No, that's all right.
Let's talk about pod racing.
Okay, so yeah, if you've seen that movie, you probably remember the pod racing scenes. There turns out LucasArts made a video game about pod racing, and it's really good. Mm-hmm. And I had it when I was a kid, and I'm sure I've mentioned it once or twice on the show. I've remembered it constantly as being a really good game, and I sort of as a Christmas present to myself, I bought it, and it plays on my computer. And I thought, shit, I'm going to have no idea what I'm doing. I remember like 2 things about this game. But it turns out my hands remember exactly how to play this game. So
you still got that muscle memory from when you were a kid?
There was an issue. I alt-tabbed at first, and when I alt-tabbed back, I thought I was still holding down tab, but I didn't know that. So it was facing backwards, and it took me a while to figure out. So it was actually just like the movie, because it makes you play as Anakin for the first one, where you stall out right at the start on the Tatooine race, and you spend like 30 seconds trying to figure it out. And then I figured it out, and then I got to go. Like everyone, like people were about to lap me, and I knew my fingers knew already exactly how the controls worked. I started like preempting the turns on the course that I hadn't seen in like 15 years.
Oh my god.
And I won the first race despite that setback. So it felt really fucking good.
Holy shit, that sounds like a really good experience.
It was a really good way to get back into it. There was so much nostalgia. I mean, you won't believe this, but it looks and sounds just like it used to.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a, like, it is a very solid achievement when like you can come back to a thing and it looks and sounds exactly like you remember it.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's so easy to make things better in your memory, but no, this is still a really good game. My main criticism of it now, and a big part of this is probably playing as an adult instead of a child with like less coordination and experience playing video games, I guess, is it's quite easy. I found it very easy. There's only one track, which is an in-game track, where I had any trouble. That was all due to the track, not the other races, and I think it just took me 2 attempts to win. But, that aside, it's a fun racing game. It looks... so, obviously, being made in, like, 2001, it doesn't look photorealistic or anything like that. For what they have, all the low poly kind of stuff, when you're moving and the way things move and the way the physics feel is good. I think the sound is good, mainly because the soundtrack is all the like Star Wars orchestral stuff that actually works really well with it. Each track, the first time, for each time you load the game, that you play a track on a given world, it has like this little intro movie that does a really good job of making it feel space opera-y. The tracks all feel very much part of the world in a way that I think contrasts a lot with Redout. There's some like side systems about like damage to your pod racer and buying parts and stuff, but it's pretty simplistic once you figure out how it works. And the main thing you're going to experience is listening to like the same 10 quips from Watto, the storekeeper from Tatooine. Possibly the best part of the game is that after every race, when you're looking through the results, you have to listen to him hum the cantina music, which is amazing, and I didn't expect or remember, but I can hear it in my head right now. It's good. The pilots are all hilariously low poly, and it's funny seeing that in like the preview screens of the pod races. But when you're racing, it's really good. There's a lot of variety. Like some of the races have got like an anti-gravity thing where you're in a tunnel and you have to avoid asteroids. I had not remembered... Like, I'd remembered it being a good game. I don't think I'd actually remembered it being quite as good as I think it is now. I don't know. There might be a lot of nostalgia speaking. But, I mean, if you've never played this game, I bought it on GOG. I don't know if it's also available anywhere else, but it is. You can still play it despite it being so old. Some parts are definitely a little odd. You kind of expect that. My favourite pilot name, as you alluded to earlier, is Toy Dampener.
Toy Dampener.
First name Toy, last name Dampener.
Toy.
I'm guessing they dampen toys.
Oh, I'm
That's
guessing
what
they
do.
dampen toys too. I have great news. It's also available on Steam.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Thinking it's an old game. I should check there first. Okay, yeah. So you can get it. It still works.
GOG sometimes does have different builds, I will say.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I can't speak to how compatible the build of Star Wars Episode 1 that Steam uses compared to GOG is, I can't say if it's any different.
Fair enough. I know that Steam at least it can be easier to get a refund on Steam than GOG, as I found out over the summer.
Okay.
Let's not get into that. That was for a different game.
Sounds good.
But like I said, the game was easier than I remembered. Instead of spending weeks and weeks on it like I did as a kid, I finished it across about 2 evenings, and I wanted more, but of course there wasn't more. And that's when I went and found Redout, which I'm pretty sure you've mentioned to me before.
I believe I have.
And it looked like the closest thing to a more modern pod racing game. Excuse me. It looked like
I think it is. I think it's very much in the lineage and like the lineage of F-Zero and similar titles like that.
Right. I haven't played that, but fair enough. It is definitely a whole of a heck a lot more challenging than Racer. I'm used to every time I play a racing game, it's pretty trivial when you're not playing against people to like come first all the time. I like Need for Speed kind of arcadey stuff, where you're expected to come first in every race. Redout doesn't do that, it seems. Or maybe I'm just not very good at it. I don't know. It's very fast. Both of these games feel like your reaction to the course quite quickly. In Racer in particular, they've got like a fog going out, so sometimes it's just like a low rendered distance like you see in some old video games. So you can't see a long way ahead all of the time. There's a little mini-map except for the in-game courses, that helps you a little bit with preempting the turns. But a lot of the time, like, you're turning and then you're reacting to what you see coming, and then on the second lap, you have a better understanding of, you know, what's coming up, so you won't crash.
Yeah.
So Reddit's a lot more challenging. I've found it more difficult to get into, and I think the reason is it feels very sort of neon-y, and I don't think the tracks are well grounded in the world. They have kind of this backdrop, but you're not racing on the backdrop. You're racing on these like Hot Wheels tracks that have been put together, and if you look away from them, you see the backdrop. Whereas in Racer, no, you're racing on the world, and like you're going through tunnels and over snow and ice, and is this like part of their sewage system? That sort of stuff, and it's way cooler, and it feels like you're in different worlds each time. Low quality textures and stuff withstanding. Redout to me has felt like this is the track, this is the background, and they're two separate things, and it hasn't meshed with me as well because of that. But if I want to do some more pod racing, I probably will go back to Redout, partly because I haven't seen all it has to offer, and partly because it's nice to have a challenge.
I also think that aesthetic benefits it pretty well. It's also like it benefits it well first in terms of its legacy, because its legacy is like F-Zero and Wipeout, which are very sci-fi heavy games. And they also use that like distinct neon bright aesthetic to distinguish itself, like the track from the background. I think that helps from a visual clarity perspective as well, so that you understand like the turns a little bit better.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. And I mean, it just happened that I came straight from playing Racer, so that's what I was comparing it to, and that's one point on which they're quite different.
No, I think that is still a fair thing to look at and say, oh, I don't like that this doesn't feel grounded. Like, we're going to talk about Red Dead a little bit more later, but the big reason that I love everything about Red Dead Redemption is because it feels grounded, and it feels like it's got weight.
Oh, yeah.
Like, fucking, I love every stupid little animation that you have to do because it has that weight. And so I get it.
Yeah, that grounding is definitely one of Racer's strengths that I just wish it was like remade now with a bunch more tracks, honestly. I would play the heck out of that game.
Like a 1-to-1 remake kind of situation?
Except also more content. Because it is a very short game, if you look at it from a now perspective, you know. Like I said, I finished it in a couple of evenings, and it wasn't like playing 4-hour evenings.
Would you get into speedrunning it? How fast can this game be beaten? I'm going to speedrun.com now to find out.
I don't know. I definitely know which racer I would use once you unlock them. You unlock them pretty early. The main weird bit would be in that system I mentioned about buying and selling parts. There is a way you can randomly be able to buy a damaged but very good part. And you have to take a little time to browse in there, and I'm sure that taking time to browse is not great for speedruns. And also randomly being able to get a really good part or not.
So there actually is that they have actually separated out the leaderboards for that.
Oh, so whether they go to the junkyard or not?
Yep, so there is a path with no upgrades, which the world record in real time across that's 7 tracks is 38 minutes 54 seconds and 520 milliseconds.
There are more than 7 tracks, so I don't know why they've said that.
It's
maybe they're just
any
doing
percent, so it's the minimum amount of tracks required for you to like complete the story.
You can probably just go straight onto the sort of 3rd chapter of the tournament or whatever.
I believe that is the case, yes. All tracks, though, on New Game Plus is 2 hours and 6 minutes is the current record. It's the only record with no upgrades right now, and that is set 16 days ago on PC.
I didn't set it, and I probably won't beat it.
Nope. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you will. There's a
I
record
don't
that's
think I would.
apparently there's a record here that's been sitting here for about 2 years untouched. Yep. And then 15 days ago, it was shattered by about 5 minutes on the upgrades path for all tracks.
They probably got very lucky with the junkyard.
Very possibly.
One more thing I do want to mention with Redout is something that I think would affect me very differently to you. When I was looking to buy it, one of the features it talked about, and the way it worded it was something like prepare yourself for the intense soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting here as someone with who gets chronic headaches that are pretty noise sensitive and tries to stay away from bassy stuff, thinking, okay, I'm going to need to play this game with the music off. It was interesting how one of their selling points made me kind of not sure if I wanted to get it or not. It's only the fact that I knew I would be able to change the music volume separately to everything else that actually made me still go ahead and get it. Well, I'm sure a lot of people would really enjoy that.
Yeah, music for your ears is the full 5.1 support and a dynamic soundtrack that will drop sicker and sicker beats the faster you go.
See, that's the bit. If anyone talks about sick beats, it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to leave the room before it starts hurting me. Which is fine.
Part of me feels bad for you because, like, I think there's some really cool electronic stuff out there that I think you'd really enjoy, but also I get how bassy shit would destroy you.
Yeah.
You are very headache prone.
I am. It's great.
It's a fun time, I'm sure.
So you said you'd played a racing game as well, right?
Yes, I have been playing Gran Turismo Sport. Do you remember the Gran Turismo series at all?
I'll be honest, I get really confused between the different, like, car racing simulator type games.
Okay.
Because what's the other one you've been playing?
Project Cars.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of.
Oh my god, what?
Isn't there another one?
Dirt?
Forza!
There it is.
I think I confuse Gran Turismo and Forza quite a lot. Like, my brain just lumps them together.
I think that I know the reason for that, and it's because both of those are console exclusives.
Yeah, that could well be it.
Gran Turismo is the PS console exclusive, and Forza is the Xbox console exclusive.
Oh, okay.
I think I don't know where Forza's legacy begins. I'd have to look into that. I think probably original Xbox. And then Gran Turismo's legacy goes back as far as PS1. So it's been a staple of the console for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Sport was released sometime last year. In between release and now, they have released over 130 cars for the game, just through monthly updates, dropping 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars every month or so.
That's really interesting to think of that in the context of Racer, where I think there's a little over a dozen different races you can choose, pod races you can choose from.
Yeah.
Like I would so love to see one where you like build your own and add stuff for that. That'd be real cool because there's a really good variety to them.
The thing you want is Need for Speed.
I've played Need for Speed and like sure, but it's cars. It's not pod races.
I know. So I'm gonna get the numbers here.
Okay.
8 cars. Okay, so the exact numbers as of December 21st, 2018 were 103 cars and 32 tracks have been added to GT Sport since its release.
Seems like a good amount.
Yeah, that's a lot of post release support, which people who were originally skeptical about the game for reasons like, oh, it doesn't have a single player campaign like the other games did, which it now does, by the way, which was part of the reason I bought it. And the other part was I got a little bit of extra Christmas money.
Nice.
So I got the opportunity to finally check out GT Sport and check it out at what I think could be argued is its prime, because now it's being officially supported by the FIA, which is like the motorsport authority.
Oh.
It is the only racing game to have a certification from the FIA, and to be used in official FIA events. So it's a pretty cool game, and it's pretty faithful by all accounts. But the thing that interests me most about GT Sport, and the reason I want to talk about it here, is because I think unlike some of its competitors in the same field, like Project Cars, it's really, really invested in making you a better driver. It's really invested in teaching you and bettering you, which is something that Project Cars and other games in this sort of space don't tend to do. That tends to be kind of like a it's not a get good attitude. I don't want to say that, but there is an assumption made that you know what you're doing when you come to a simulation racer. GT Sport doesn't make any assumption. It assumes nothing about your skill level. It assumes you don't even know how to operate the pedals.
Good.
Yep.
Honestly.
It's great.
Because, I mean, I drive a car, but if I were to try to play a racing simulator, I wouldn't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's a few core ways that it's invested in helping you learn. The first is driving school, which teaches you things like how to accelerate and how to brake and how to do turns. And it also teaches you some like more advanced stuff like trail braking, how to handle multiple turns in sequence, what your racing line is, how to keep your racing line under control. So like all of these things they've got videos for. There's like extensive lessons and then practical, like, oh, run through this lesson and we'll time you for it and you get a rating. Getting all golds rewards you with across all of the driving school events will give you like extra cars. It's cool. It's a great incentive to learn. Then it has the circuit experience, which has videos covering literally like every section of various tracks, going over each turn in detail. So like here's how you want to adjust your racing line for this sequence of turns. And there's a video breaking it all down. It's great. Same kind of reward there as well. If you complete a course with all golds on all the sections and then a time attack on a single lap, then you get a free like bonus car.
They've certainly got enough cars for that sort of thing from the sound of things.
Oh yeah, there are many cars. I'm just delighted. And then there's also sportsmanship lessons, which are actually required for you to play GT Sport online. You have to sit down and you have to sit down and watch a couple videos and like lessons about sportsmanship, so that you understand what you're getting into online. You also have a rating online that tracks like, oh, are you colliding with everyone and being an asshole, or like you driving clean and like being good out there. It's a really good contrast to other simulation racers because it's interested in bettering you even as a novice. It's been a real good breath of fresh air from Project Cars, and it's made me better at Project Cars because now I understand various concepts of simulation racing and racing in general.
Right, and since they're both simulators, that's so transferable.
Exactly. There's differences in the handling model. Like I find Project Cars is a little bit more squirrely, but I can approach that a little bit better now.
I'm just imagining that the physics simulator has got a squirrely variable. This is just a little bit higher.
Squirreliness maximum.
Yeah.
Increase the squirrels.
It's like how you choose the floatiness rating of a physics engine.
The floatiness rating of a what? Sorry? You'll need to repeat
physics engine.
Ah, okay. The other thing, there are two other things that are really cool about this. One is the photo mode. The photo mode is... Of course. It boggles the mind. I don't know how they've managed to get photos this good into, like, a photo of this good in this game. I don't know how they did it. It seems like fucking magic. like there is. I'm sure there is a lot of rational ways that it is actually done, but it seems like fucking magic. Let me show you that. I'll show you a screenshot.
Okay.
Real quick. I'll show you one of the photos I took. Because one of the other things about this that I think is really interesting to know, and I'm gonna link this photo, by the way, for everyone to see in the show notes. But one of the things that I think is most interesting about this photo mode is that I can export 4K images from a standard PS4.
Wondering if they'll do that, because they probably what's the word for it? There's a word for, is it super sampling? Yeah. I was wondering if they would do that in their photo mode, because when you've paused the action, you can afford to do that a bit more easily. Yeah,
there is actually a toggle, so like there is a resolution option, so you can choose like, I just want the 1080p version. Mm-hmm. Or like give me the 4K one, which I can do from a standard PS4. I don't need to do it I don't need to own a PS4 Pro or anything. I can just do it from the PS4 that I already own.
Nice.
And I can export all of those images to like a USB stick and bring them over to my computer, and like all of the photo data is there, like all of the aperture data, all of the f-stop data. All the actual like photographic detail is burned into the metadata of those files.
It's like a real photo.
Ridiculous. It is very, very thorough. I'm very glad that this game has so much rich detail in the photo mode.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking now, I was about to say I wish Red Dead Redemption 2 had a photo mode like this, but I don't know that I really do. I think it would. Well, I know it's got the camera. I know it has the camera. I don't mean that. I mean like a photo mode like Horizon Zero Dawn had a photo mode as a third-person game. Or are you going to tell me it does have one of those as well?
It just has the camera.
Yeah. But I'm not sure it did, because like you said, the whole groundedness of it is such a strong theme with it, ties everything together, that having a photo mode like that would seem off, perhaps. I don't know.
I think you're right, though. I think that like the camera option that's present in those games and present in like Grand Theft Auto, they make the game grounded. They're one of those things that make a Rockstar game grounded. Is like, even the camera is it's an in-game item, and you have to physically pull it out.
It is funny how when you take a selfie, it is putting the camera on the ground and standing back.
Yes.
I only wish though that they like in the loading screens of Red Dead. We've jumped to Red Dead. Is that right?
Yes, we are 100% fine to go to Red Dead.
In the loading screens, it shows those like old-timey photos, and I was so sure when you took a photo with the camera it would do that. It doesn't. It's just a screenshot. I was actually kind of disappointed with the camera there. But that's one of a very short list of things that disappointed me in that game, if I'm honest. It's a damn good game.
It is a damn good game.
It's hard to know where to start, but what you've mentioned about it being grounded, that is so much its strength. The first thing I remember really noticing, so what happened, I wasn't planning on getting it near release, but I stopped by my parents' place on my way home from work, and my brother had just got it, and I watched him playing it just for a short amount of time, and I was so used to games not having this sort of level of abstraction when you interact with the world, like, when you take an item, it disappears, and now it's in your inventory, that sort of thing that we just sort of overlook or look past when we're playing games. But
it's like a video game
exactly
thing.
But like he was talking to people and he saw tobacco for the first time, and when he went to gather it, he picked up the plant, pulled the leaves off and threw the thing out, and then put the leaves in his satchel, and it's like fuck, like that. All of that interaction was actually your character interacting with the world.
Yep.
He got in a fight with a cougar, and I didn't see a cougar for like 20 hours after that. But like, it was interacting with the world. I saw how once you've shot someone, when you loot them, it is an interaction with them. It actually slows the post-combat stuff right down if you stay to loot all the bodies. It can take a while because you actually rifle through their pockets. When you're shooting a revolver and you like have to pull the hammer back before you shoot and stuff, all these things that unstreamline the game but make it feel so much like it's part of the world, they're fantastic. And there's so many little touches that just add to that. Like, I'm still seeing new ones, and I've played like 60 hours of this game, but the first one that really blew me away was the fucking rainbows. Have you seen them?
I have seen maybe one. I don't even remember.
They're amazing. I saw a huge double rainbow pretty early on. I've only seen one, so it's not like a common thing, but it was done exactly right. Like, it was opposite the sun, as it should be. The outer rainbow had the colours reversed and was much fainter, as it should be. This clearly was not just like a rainbow texture they'd put on the sky. This was like, oh no, the game thinks there's water there and the light is coming this way, so there should be a rainbow here. In some areas, you see like parts of rainbow in mist when the sun hits it in the right way. There are so many good touches in this game. I noticed at one point, I was riding through a farm slowly just after dusk, and I heard a cat, and I turned to look, and its eyes caught the light and reflected it back at me like the eyes of a cat sometimes do in real life. I've seen that with big cats as well. There are so many little things that I don't know how many there are so many little things in a game. Little things that they could have missed, and no one would have missed them, but they're there, and it's better for it.
I agree. It's Red Dead is weird because it is unlike any other video game in the world. Rami Ismail summed it up as, I believe he said, the world's most expensive indie game. Which is true. This is unlike any other like video game. This is not a video game-ass video game. I think if you go into it expecting a traditional like open world experience, you are in for a disappointment.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's not Skyrim, for example.
No, this is not Skyrim. There aren't a lot of conveniences, I'd say, and that means that this game isn't for everyone. I think there's a tendency to like think that 10 out of 10 games are like for everyone. It's like no. I think a game can still be a 10 out of 10. Like, this game is like highly recommendable, but only to specific people.
Definitely a game for me, thankfully.
Yes, also very much thankfully a game for me. Someone who is like deeply invested in cinematics and like rich stories, rich characters. Rockstar games have traditionally been good for that. And Red Dead, thankfully, is where they seem to be more serious about the whole thing. Like, Grand Theft Auto, we all know what Grand Theft Auto is at this point. It is a known quantity of some point. It is satire, for better and for worse.
It was interesting, when I was first playing Red Dead 1, I kept expecting it to be more satirical because it was made by Rockstar.
And that was very much my expectation of it as well, in fact.
Yeah. Red Dead 2, I didn't go in with that expectation anymore, though.
Yeah, no, I think at that point, like, Rockstar shows that they want to take, like, it feels like they take the big risks on Red Dead. Like, Grand Theft Auto feels like, it's their guaranteed hit kind of moneymaker. And then Red Dead feels like the weird shit. I love the weird shit, but the weird shit is not for everyone.
Whose idea was it to make it so that your beard grows over time in a video game?
I don't know. The last time I remember seeing it,
idea.
The last time I remember seeing it prior to Red Dead was The Witcher.
Ah, I didn't think of that, but you're right. I haven't played enough of The Witcher.
Fucking great game, also.
But like, when you play like Fallout 4 or something, and you go to a barber and you just pay 30 caps and they have a full fucking beard.
Yeah.
It's not like that. If you want a full beard, like, it takes time, and just don't shave for a while.
Yep.
And that's how you get a beard.
Or, like, you can, like, do some self-styling and, like, just trim your chops or just trim your stash and go for some different looks.
And the dress up is a great part of this game. I love playing dress up. I'd seen people refer to it as being like Barbie Horse Adventures, and it is definitely a photorealistic Barbie Horse Adventures game in all the best ways.
Yep.
Like, you have your horse, who is your best friend, and you take care of, and also you dress your character up, and it's amazing.
Yes. One thing I've heard kind of criticized about the game as well, though, is like the narrow path that the story missions put you on. Do you find that limiting at all? Because I personally don't think it's an aspect that I have an issue with. I come to these sorts of games for that, like, linear narrative mission.
Yeah, I didn't find that a problem at all. There are very few choices you get in the story of the game. It's basically, do you want to do a mission for this person or not do the mission for that person? And it's kind of always, I want to see the content, so I'm going to say yes. But also it felt like the right thing for the character. But no, I don't have a problem with being linear. Especially when you consider this is a prequel game. The story's already happened. Why should you be able to change it now?
There are still aspects that are changeable, though, which is
certainly,
interesting. Like Arthur's relationship with Mary Ann, is it? I helped her for the first mission.
Oh, Mary, just Mary.
Mary, okay. I helped her for the first mission, but when she sent the second letter, I went and met her, and then politely declined her request and ended the story. Because I felt like that was the thing that, like, the way I was playing Arthur would do. Like, oh, this is like, oh, she's asking me to rescue her dad, who I hate and hates me. And there's no point necessarily. Like, I could do it just for the sake of doing it, but it's not going to benefit me in the end. I think at that point, I have some late game stuff that has happened already. So
so our listeners might care about spoilers, but I don't, because I've finished the story now.
Okay,
100%.
yeah. So you know what happens. You know what I'm talking about, and I'll leave it at that. And anybody who's played past this point will know what I'm talking about here. But I have some end game stuff afflicting me. So I decided that my time was not worth it to continue to pursue that storyline. And I felt that was the right thing to do for that character. I felt like all the decisions that I've been making and the way, like, I role play, like, this is an RPG.
Absolutely.
It is a weirdly compelling RPG.
It's interesting because I made the opposite decision there, and it equally felt like the right one for Arthur for me.
Yeah.
So it's I think that makes it feel like a real decision. If you can make either choice and it feels like the right one for that character.
Yeah, exactly. I think it just shows how, like, everyone has their own interpretation of these characters. And I think like with all Rockstar games, that can be for better or for worse.
I don't know if that's it. I think it's I don't think that's quite it. I think it's more, this is one of those things where it really could have gone either way for him.
Right.
And you don't get to make the choices everywhere. But this is one of those points where he really could go either way, and then they leave it up to the player. But most of the time, it's his story, and this is what happened.
Yes.
So I would say it's less about lots of people having different people having different interpretations, and more, this is a real point of conflict, and you pick which way it falls this time. But it could have gone either way. Whereas the rest of it it's just, this is the way things are heading, and that's just because that's who he is, and that's what's happening. At least that's how I saw it.
Yeah, no, I think that is a good. I think that's a good way to think about it. By the way, I will say that I have spent hours dressing up my character.
Right? I so wish they had done the outfit saving system better, though.
Yeah, it's
because it seems like they should have
serviceable.
Easily, well, it's usable, but it could so easily have been better. And I don't understand why they made these choices in particular. You can save 4 custom outfits. You can't name them. And then there's sort of some weird, unexpected behavior around how you can put them on your horse. But if you did that while you were wearing them and then your hat gets shot off, for example, you can't change back to that outfit anymore. So there's some weird behavior and some behavior that seems almost inexplicable and not in the same sort of grounding way that some of the other unusual behavior of the game is. But aside from that, dressing up is one of the best parts in that game. I wish it were easier in the online game, honestly, but they're like, oh, you have to be level 53 to buy this sweater kind of weirdness. But yeah, dressing up is great. Having a relationship with the horse, like you brush it, feed it, talk to it, makes them feel like a real character as well. I remember in Red Dead 1, horses felt incredibly interchangeable. It was just, hey, this horse is faster, I should get that horse. Whereas now it's, no, I've had this horse for ages. I know this horse. It doesn't matter that one will be faster or whatever. I'm keeping this horse, Like, this is my horse.
Love my horse. Leave my horse alone.
I think as well that it is. With both the way it has you interacting with NPCs, where aside from some exceptions, you have 2 interaction options. Greet or antagonize, which is basically positive interaction or negative interaction.
It feels so grounded. It feels like it feels like a fucking revolution to be able to like play an open world game and you have the option to choose how your character interacts. That feels good, especially because I can do things like antagonize eugenics supporters and then also shoot them.
Oh, that reminds me.
They never respawn. Respawn.
When I first got to Saint Denis, which is the city in the game, there was a guy ranting about purity on the street, and you can probably guess
that
what
is
was
the
going
eugenics
for.
guy.
Yeah. So I stabbed him. There was a cop watching. They didn't give a fuck. I just walked away, and they were like, "Okay." I don't know if it was a bug or what, but I'm treating it as canon. So
I mean, I don't think anybody minds.
No,
I don't think so.
Where was I before that? Sorry,
I don't know. We were talking.
Oh yes. So greet and antagonize.
Yes.
It means that with strangers you can just do these little interactions, but it's the same greet or antagonize with the people who Arthur knows well, and it turns into more complex interactions.
Yes.
And it's why it's positive and negative. And with the camp system, this is the first open world game I've ever played where I haven't felt like I'm alone in the world. I think they did an incredible job of that.
Yeah.
I'm
there is a real sense of community within the camp.
I'd just like to ask, how far are you in the game?
I am up to, I believe, chapter 6. So
okay.
I have finished the section.
Yeah, I know where chapter 6 is.
Yeah, I finished the section where you go far, far away for a little bit. You go to the land in Shrek, far, far away. I'm bringing it back, Shrek.
Mexico.
Yep.
Like Red Dead 1.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not it at all. What?
Sorry, it's just that the song that plays while you're riding to Mexico in Red Dead 1 is called Far Away.
Okay. Sorry, I was confused. I was like, no, that's not where I've gone at all.
No, I know.
Have you done the epilogue stuff?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard very good things about that. I'm excited to get to it.
I don't want to spoil anything.
No, I have spoiled a good bit for myself. In fairness,
oh, that's a shame.
No. I don't mind.
Okay.
I've gotten less. Is sensitive the right word? I've gotten less sensitive about spoilers over time.
I'm very glad that I managed to avoid it for myself. Although, also,
absolutely,
like, I know that this person and this person and this person won't die because they're in Red Dead 1.
Yeah, there is a point to that.
But also, equally, every character that I didn't encounter in Red Dead 1, they don't have plot armor. I don't know what happens to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But yeah, I'm glad I managed to avoid spoilers. The camp system
I'm glad that I've mostly
fantastic.
avoided them. But yeah, what else can I say about Red Dead here? There is one more thing that I felt like I needed to say.
Okay.
Shit. Fucking
Is it about the music? Because you often want to rave about soundtracks, and I think it's got some good music.
Yep, no, I have nothing more to say there. That soundtrack is fantastic.
Now that I've finished the game, I'm going to go back and find the soundtrack. Because I don't like listening to soundtracks before I've played a full game, because, you know, when there might be some particularly important moment associated with music, I don't want to form a prior association.
Yeah.
And now that I have that association, listening to the music in retrospect, I think it can be more meaningful. But I definitely want to go back and find some of the music they played and listen to it again. But I mean, I was expecting it to have a great soundtrack, because Red Dead 1 had a great soundtrack. Like, I still listen to some of the songs from important story points of Red Dead 1 because they're damn good.
Yeah, there's a really good vocal track when you're coming back in Chapter 5 that did make me cry on the ride back, so that's good.
I've definitely cried a bunch in this game, but I often cry in stories. So I don't know if that's saying very much, but I certainly have enjoyed it.
And that's fucking good.
Yes.
Speaking of fucking good games, we have we have two more, on this list to go. We got some more discussion to happen here. You ready?
I am scared because I know what it is.
It's Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2, the remake, and more specifically, the one-shot demo, because I tried that in the past couple of weeks. I'll start with the RE2 remake.
Okay.
That game seems like it's pretty fucking technically accomplished. The PC menu's a bit weird, I will say that, but the graphics menu specifically. It's a little bit weird, but that game I had a really, really good time with it. The basic concept of the one-shot demo is you have 30 minutes to complete it, which it's more than enough time to explore the section of the world that you're given access to and like play around with a lot of the mechanics. You'll see a few cinematics and stuff in that time as well. Like it is a pretty comprehensive feeling demo, even though it's only 30 minutes. But once that timer expires, you can't play it anymore. That's it. You get one shot at running through the campaign. You can, or running through the campaign that's in the demo. You can die as much as you want and stuff like that, though. It's not. This is
just Iron making Man. Me think. Okay, how do they know you've already played it, and how do you tell them you haven't, so you can play it again? Because there's always a way.
It's an online thing. You need an active internet connection to play the one-shot demo.
So is it like IP based or something?
I think it's just like Steam account or PSN account or Xbox One account based.
That's harder. That's harder to get around.
I mean, you can just make a new account. Like the Steam account is free.
Yeah. True, but you probably need a new email for that. But then, if you've got Gmail, you've got infinite email accounts, basically. Exactly. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
It seems really technically accomplished. From what I've heard, it seems to be both a faithful while also being confused adaptation of the original game, because the original game had that like isometric angles and stuff like that, where this remake is now a third-person shooter. And as a result, the controls tend to be a lot better. It's a lot easier to play. And there's less enemies than there were in the original. It's not as focused on overwhelming you as it is providing some sort of like genuine threat from their enemies.
Okay.
I think in an effort to try and like compensate for how they've adjusted for better gameplay
Just in the later games.
Just in general, like the game plays objectively better, I would say, than probably RE2 does. But RE2 has some stuff that works because, like, oh, there's like 6 enemies in this room. Oh, fuck. And I have this weird camera angle that I have to fight against. Weird controls tend to be good at creating those, like, oh, fuck moments where you have to, like, run away or you're scared because, like, the situation is just very tense. Where this isn't as much focused on that. I think that's maybe fine. There is a different focus by making those enemies, like, just really, really genuinely threatening. Giving them a lot of health without making them bullet sponges. They deteriorate, like, as they're hurt a lot as well, which is, again, just strangely compelling and very, very graphic.
Sounds like that's probably too much for me, but also well executed.
Very well executed, definitely will be too much for you. It's bloody good.
Is that a pun intentionally?
It's intentional.
Okay.
There's some, like, from what I saw, the limited writing and cinematic direction seems to be pretty solid, and the environments of and the visual effects are really, really, really good. This engine is clearly being pushed, and I'm just real happy. I think that it is a beautiful engine. Like, it debuted in the other game I played, Resident Evil 7, which is a first-person shooter instead of a third-person one. But my relationship with Resident Evil is a little bit weird.
How's
because,
that?
Well, I mean, like, even in, like, if you asked me last year if I was going to play Resident Evil 7, like, early in the year, I would have been like, nah, doesn't seem like my thing. Doom was kind of my limit to a certain point. It was fast, it was cartoonish.
Yeah.
And a lot of the footage of RE7 that I had seen, especially, like, there was an early fight with one of the antagonists, Jack, in the garage. And some of the footage I saw from that was clear, like, oh, this is maybe not for me. And so I've generally tended away from some of the ultra-violence that's been on show in Resident Evil 7. But here I am.
You just reminded me of some Red Dead stuff.
Ooh, Shady Belle. Woof.
That's not what I was thinking about. It was some of the stuff that I saw when my brother was playing it that got me to realize that I wanted to get this game.
Oh, okay.
That was just really early. It was watching him skin a cougar, carry it. When he put it down, there was blood all over his jacket, and we wondered, hey, I wonder if you go swimming, does it wash off? And it does, and like you see blood in the water and stuff, and we just saw all these interactions with things. We were just like wondering, hey, I wonder if. And the answer was always yes.
God. Yeah.
Such a good game.
Fucking good game. Fucking Resident Evil. Let's get back on topic to Resident Evil.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, so, like, in the past I've tended away from the level of ultraviolence that's kind of on show in a lot of that Resident Evil 7 footage that I saw. But I saw a friend of mine talk about how the game actually just, like, it uses the ultraviolence in the opening and then opens up to more kind of traditional puzzling and exploration, which proved to be the case.
Okay.
It's initially framed with some really brutal, bloody, disgusting violence, and then it opens up to more quiet as time goes on, which I really appreciated. It's got a fantastic, very, very spooky atmosphere and sound design, except for the weapon sound design, which sounds flat. But everything else around it sounds so good that I can forgive the weapon sounds, like being a little like plap, plap kind of thing. Like it's nothing.
You just got me thinking about Red Dead again. God damn it.
God damn, Red Dead.
Like,
the sound design is so good.
Like how the sounds change depending on where you are and how things echo and stuff like that. And when you're hunting it and just,
we can't keep doing this.
No, we can't. I'm gonna just.
Otherwise, we're gonna be here talking about Red Dead for fucking hours.
Yeah.
We cannot. But
Go on with your horror stuff.
yeah, I'm going on with my horror stuff. Like, once I got over that hump, and got past all the ultraviolence and got settled in, it's a proper good scary time. Horror was something I've tended away from in the past, and in the past couple of years, I've really kind of come around on it. I think I've just kind of come to accept it more and more, and become a little bit more resistant to it. So now I'm like embracing a new area, a new genre that I'm exploring, which is cool. I'm enjoying it a whole hell of a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. One thing that I tend to like, I'll probably still avoid those games that focus on like permanent disempowerment of the player. Like RE7 and Dead Space and all these sorts of games work really well for me because I feel like I can fight back. Like, there is still a sense of terror and like focus that you need to have if you're going to play those games well. But games like Amnesia and Penumbra, for example, where you have all power gone and the game is like a very focused, high stakes game of cat and mouse, like that's sort of the stuff that I don't really like. I don't handle it very well, and it is very scary. For the people that it works for and who can handle those sorts of games, I think that they are stellar examples. But it's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, it is really interesting though. Like in Red Dead, again, I know that no matter who you come up against, you're faster. You can shoot them first, no matter what.
They're like, Arthur is like canonically the best shot in the Vanderlyn gang,
and that means that you're not going to be afraid in combat. So at some points when the game does make you feel vulnerable, you feel the lack of it so much more. There were a couple of real interesting points. I don't know if you hit them. They're spoilery. I don't want to discuss them because of those things. But it's just interesting you bring up that disempowerment. And yeah, because so many games you're just like, oh yeah, I've killed 50,000 people. So the games that make it harder to do that, and some of them do it through like horror games have sometimes got like intentionally clunky-ish controls for that reason, I think, right? It's interesting.
I think there is a case to be made for that. Like, there was a game that was released on the Wii U, which was called Zombie U, which was it did eventually make its way to other consoles. Mm-hmm. And it had kind of a roguelike mechanic where if you died, you'd be playing as another character, but you could find your old body. So as such, it also had kind of clunky controls and an inventory that was on the touchpad and not on your TV, and the game wouldn't actually pause while you're accessing it, and it was a bit clunky to navigate. So you could get into bad situations very, very quickly by doing a little bit of mistimed inventory management. I think that stuff's really cool. I think it leads to some really interesting moments, especially when you get stuff like Zombie U's mechanics where like you are playing as different characters. That's not true of every horror game. But I think it's something interesting to consider when you're considering the design of those games. Resident Evil 7 was pretty smooth, other than the fact that I didn't realize that there's a shortcut for healing on my mouse. I completely forgot about it. And so I was opening my inventory, like in the middle of combat sometimes, to heal manually when there was a button on my mouse I could have pressed.
Huh.
That did feel scary until I realized that I could do that, and I was like,
yeah.
I see.
I've been doing this wrong the whole time.
I've been fucking myself over without purpose or reason. But it did actually make me kind of considerate of like when I'm using health and how much I'm using and what health items I have. And even like, because I was opening the inventory up, like, oh, do I have enough ammo? Am I good? Like, what do I need to prioritize here?
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple sequences in RE7 that do take that power away from you, and they work real well. They're not so prolonged that I mind them though. Like Amnesia is entirely focused on that, where like RE7 is like, oh, there's like a sequence for maybe an hour or so where you don't have all of your weapons. I think that is far more interesting to me.
I'm not used to recording. I was nodding. Damn it.
God damn it, Mark.
Sorry.
I'm just looking at Steam at the moment and thinking about how much I would like to play Katamari Damacy.
I mean, you can, right?
Yeah, it's on PC now. Katamari Damacy Reroll. I can play it, but I don't own it, so I can't play it.
Okay. You could buy it.
Yeah, I can buy it, and maybe I will eventually. As well as Return of the Obra Dinn, because that seems like a fucking cool game.
What's that?
Oh, have you not heard of Return of the Obra Dinn?
No.
So you play as an insurance inspector who needs to go on board a ship that was reported lost at sea a couple 100 years ago, but is just pulled back into port, and you need to find out what the fuck happened on that ship.
Of course they sent an insurance person.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's from Lucas Pope. Now, you may know that name. Do you know that name?
I don't think I do.
Papers, Please creator, Lucas Pope.
Yes, I've played a bunch of Papers, Please.
Yes. So it's the same creator. He's got a unique visual style for Return of the Obra Dinn, just as he did with Papers, Please.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it might be one of those games that you would be really interested in. And a lot of critics that I really trust also really like this game.
Good to know.
I will
so it's on Steam, is it?
Yes. I think it's also on a couple of other platforms, but I'll link that to you. I am cutting this from the show because I was just like, I'm just looking at Steam for bullshit.
Oh, wow, yeah, that looks very different to how I expected. Very old school style.
And it is still a first-person adventure, but like the visual style is so distinct. It's real cool. All right. Well, shall we wrap up by talking about the things that we are looking forward to playing?
Sure. What are you looking forward to playing?
This week, I'm doing something either brilliant or fucking stupid. This coming week, I'm planning on playing through all of Mass Effect Andromeda in a single 40-hour work week on stream.
That's a long game. Like I haven't finished it.
I took a look at how long to beat when I was like thinking about this, because I have a specific reason for wanting to play this, and I'll get into that in a second as well.
Okay.
But I took a look at how long to beat, and it says about 19 hours for the main story. I'm not super convinced that I'm going to be interested in fussing around with a lot of the extra stuff. I probably will to a point. So this might be kind of a 3-4 day endeavor all told.
Fair enough. I mean, when I was playing it, I wasn't like, I'm going to go play this game to finish the story. I was just playing it, and finishing the story was like, getting further in the story was just something that happened because I was playing it. So I suppose if you're playing to finish, yeah, I can understand it. You would be able to do that.
I'll probably still do the extra stuff, but the plan is mostly to focus on the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the big reason I want to do this, you may have heard of this other game that BioWare has coming out soon. It's called Anthem.
The one that I kept calling Haven last year?
Yes, I believe that is the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been following it super closely, but I remember that I have liked the look of it before.
So that's coming out next month. But I
next month is only in like a week. Shit.
I know. I had a conversation with Ash about Mass Effect Andromeda, and I was like, I was thinking about Anthem, and I was thinking of what footage I've seen of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are the roots of what Anthem is in Mass Effect Andromeda? And
Jetpacks.
jetpacks and movement and combat and all that. And I'm like, huh. And so Ash seems to think that she's played Anthem. She played it
Oh.
in the closed alpha.
Oh, I didn't know there had been one.
Yeah, it was a closed one, the registration only, and only a limited amount of people got in, and they couldn't talk about it for a month.
That's cool that she got to play it.
Yeah, so she got to play it. I got to watch some of that.
Nice.
We didn't record it or anything like that, so we don't have any
Course.
footage to talk over. But we got to play that closed alpha, and comparing that to the footage of Mass Effect Andromeda I've seen was just I see the roots of what Anthem is going to be buried in Mass Effect, and I want to explore it in its final form.
Have you played any Andromeda so far?
No, I have not played a single
for some reason,
second.
I thought you had played some of it before.
No, I haven't played a single second of Mass Effect Andromeda, but I do own a copy of it. I got it on the cheap.
Nice.
And
You have played the Shepard trilogy, though, right?
yes, I've played the Shepard trilogy.
Okay.
I love the Shepard trilogy.
Cool.
So now I'm going to play something different. I have my expectations set reasonably. I know that it's something different. I know that it's going to be a little bit janky and weird. And I know it's going to be a bit experimental. And I kind of the main reason I want to play it is because I want to see the roots of the experimentation that I think lead us to Anthem.
It's interesting. I had definitely not seen that relationship. I haven't been looking for it. I think it's the main reason.
Surprise if I opened your eyes to that.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So I'm going to be exploring that. So I might have some thoughts next week.
Cool.
Assuming that my voice isn't dead after 40 fucking hours of streaming.
Fair enough.
It will have been 32 by that point, assuming that I went 8-hour days and I haven't finished the game yet. I don't know how well this is going to work, but I'm going to do it, damn it.
It's an experiment.
Why the hell not? How about you? What are you looking forward to playing? Because I'm certain it's not 40 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, it's not. Most of the time recently when I've gone to play a game, it's become Red Dead. It's just such a good game to be able to go and play for a while. I don't know. I really like it. I'm post story now. You can I won't give anything about how, but you can continue playing post story. And I've been enjoying that. Obviously there's some less content because it's not like, hey, go do this mission kind of stuff still available. But it's still a very enjoyable game. Like, all the systems in that game are great, and you can still just go out and, like, you'll be ambushed by gangs just like you were sometimes while the story is happening and all that. So the gameplay is still there. It's still very fun. I'm sure I'll also play Arena a few times. I've been trying to stop myself from playing it if I feel like I'm just going to play it for the daily reward. I only want to play it because I feel like playing some Magic, but not for very long. I'm sure I'll end up doing some of that. And then aside from that, I'm not sure. It's still the new year. I don't know what games I'm going to get a hankering for. I was playing a bunch of Kerbal Space Program and Battletech at the end of last year. I don't know if I'll get back into those or if I'll find something new. We'll see, but Red Dead's probably going to feature pretty significantly. I'm hoping I might be able to play some of the online. Both of my brothers have Red Dead Redemption 2, which doesn't happen very often. So I'm really hoping I might get to spend some time playing online with both of them. We'll see. It's not super likely, but it'd be really cool if it does happen.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PauseCast. If you'd like what you heard and would like to support the show, we have a few ways that you can do that. Yeah. The first is our Patreon. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month, or as much as you want per month. And we really appreciate all the support that we get through Patreon. Thank you so much to all of our current supporters: Moth, Ash, Infernal, Mary, Corey Bat, Sammy, and Dove. Thank you so much for your continued support of the show, especially after we paused it for 2 months and, just didn't do any episodes. So we hope you like this really, really long episode that we've done as penance for our fuck up. The show's going to be bi-weekly going forward, like I mentioned at the top of the show. So we are going to have some more time to we'll probably end up making longer episodes as a result.
Yeah.
Because we'll have some more time to produce stuff. We'll have more time to arrange guests. Like, I now have 2 weeks to arrange a guest for the next episode, which is, I think, hugely beneficial to the format. And it doesn't overwhelm both myself and Mark, who both are doing work in various departments. We got a lot on our plates, respectively.
Also means it's much less likely that we'll hit a period in which I didn't play any games this week, which has happened one or two times.
So, like, we have a lot more leniency with this format, and I hope that everyone is really happy with the quality of the show going forward as a result of that. If you'd like to support us without going month to month, you can send us a one-time donation by going to bit.ly/pausecoffee. It will allow you to send us a one-off tip and financially support the show. All support there is really appreciated. Lastly, you can also leave a rating or review. These help us out a lot on your platform of choice. They give us visibility, and we really appreciate them. So if you haven't already, maybe consider doing that. Mark.
Yeah.
Where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter at HonestUniverse, and I've got a blog as well, though it's not about video games. That's at honestuniverse.com. How about you?
And you can find me at bird.school. That'll take you to my Twitter. And I've got a whole bunch of links there that will help you get to all of my other content around the internet.
Nice.
Yeah, nice and convenient. Thank you as well, before we go, to Leon for the use of our theme song, Honey Milk Island. You can find Leon's music and download some of it for free at soundcloud.com/LEYAWN. And that is going to do it for this week for this fortnight on PauseCast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.